When it comes to fall bass fishing, one of the most popular and effective presentations has got to be the good old soft plastic swim bait. They're unassuming, they're quiet, they're subtle, and they just get bites, especially when those bass are feeling finicky like they are right now for across much of the country. Today, we're going to take a look at how I rig and use them and why I'm using them the way that I am. Stick around, we're going to talk all about it. So we've had some nice fish today. Put some nice fish in the boat. Oh, that's a good one. Come on, you're not running at me. Oh, that's another one. Oh, that's a good one. That's the biggest one of the day. Whoa, he's got some fight to him. Whoa, and he ran right at me too, and I had to do everything I could to catch up to him. Come here, you. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. And for many anglers, fall bass fishing and soft plastic swim baits go together like peanut butter and jelly. And it's little wonder why. Whenever that water gets cold and those bass get lethargic and they don't want to bite anything, swimming a soft plastic swim bait right by their head can be just the ticket to elicit those strikes. But there's so many types of swim baits, so many different ways to rig them. How do you know which way is up? Well, today we're going to talk about my favorite ways to rig a swim bait and how it works for me and has completely elevated my fall bass fishing. But before we get started, if you like what I'm doing here, click that subscribe button down below. We'd love to have you as a member of this community. And while you're down there, give this video a like. It really does help the channel grow, and I appreciate it so much. And if you have a minute, head on over to patreon.com and check out my members page. My Patreon members are what drive this channel, and I am super, super thankful. I think you're going to like it. The link is in the description. So there are so many different types of swim baits. How do you even know what to choose? You know, we've got these hyper uber realistic ones like this Berkeley Gilly. And I know I'm about 3 years late to the party with these, but this is actually going to be an upcoming video. I'm going to talk about these things, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and different ways of rigging that you may not have thought about. But that is for a different video. And you also have pre-rigged swim baits like these. This is from Storm. These are 5/16 of an ounce. They already have weights in them. There is a treble hook on the bottom and a hook on the top. Something like this, I'm waiting for those bass to be a little bit more active, maybe a little bit deeper, and I'm certainly not fishing that open treble around vegetation. But they have their place and they can be effective too. But what I'm talking about today mainly are these guys. The ribbed paddle tail, boot tail, soft plastic swim baits like a Rage Swimmer or a Kitech. And even something like this. This is a Mayer. This is from Crush City by Rapala. And these things, the little 3-inch ones, and I have so many empty packs of these because this is what I use. And I'm going to show them how I use them. Not just those Mayers, but the Rage Swimmers and other different types of paddle tails. Even something like a Saltwater Assassin 3-inch paddle tail. And this is kind of that green watermelon flake. And even something like this. Just because it's a saltwater paddle tail doesn't mean the bass aren't going to bite it. They don't know. I don't like the H&H Cocoa so much for this technique because they tend to be a little bit stiff. If I'm fishing for reds and specks down on the coast, that's different. But if I'm fishing for bass, these right here, Saltwater Assassin, boot tails, these little swim baits, they work just fine for what we're talking about. And if you're a friend of the channel, you kind of already know where I'm going. And that is taking a small jig. This is a Bitsy Bug. It's got just a little bit of a brush guard there. And this is a 1/4 ounce. And this is what I'm using as my swim bait jig. You know, I can just take a regular old swim bait. You know, you use a swim bait as a trailer for so many things. So this is kind of where I got the idea. You know, you just thread it on there, make sure you got it straight, and that's what's going to be the morsel that you go through the water. And this works in so many different areas. It works under docks, it works along rock piles, it works in the thickest vegetation. And you say, lowbrow, if you want a weedless presentation for a swim bait, just use a belly weighted hook that's got the screw keeper on it. I don't like these on the big lake because this right here, that piece right there, you see how that is? You give vegetation any opening, any opportunity to get gummed up on your hook, and it will take it. That right there will cause vegetation to get hung up all over your hook. I promise you, hydrilla loves that stuff. So that's why I don't use a belly weighted swim bait. That's why I'm using something like this. As a matter of fact, that's what I had rigged up the last time I was out. I've got a small, this is a 3.25 inch Rage swimmer, and I've got it hooked up. This is a Bitsy Flip. This has got the heavier brush guard, but it's still a 1/4 ounce. And I can fish this through that thick vegetation, and it comes through like butter. And the best part about it is I can slow roll it. I can get it right over the top of the vegetation, or if I want to, I can get it down in that vegetation just a little bit. And a lot of times, I can kill it and let it fall to the bottom, and I can barely crank it to get it to wiggle across the bottom. It gives me so many different ways of fishing a swim bait that opens up opportunities that those bass, they haven't seen before, and even when they're lethargic, that little snack swimming by, they just can't resist it. And I end up getting some really nice monster bites. Kind of doing a good drift here. So we've had some nice fish today. Put some nice fish in the boat. Oh, that's a good one. Come on, you're not running at me. Oh, that's another one. Oh, that's a good one. That's the biggest one of the day. Whoa, he's got some fight to him. Whoa, and he ran right at me too, and I had to do everything I could to catch up to him. Come here, you. Look at that. Look at that fat belly on that guy. Look at the fat belly on that guy. Wow. And he hit it like it owed him money. I got him all kinds of ways. You weren't not going anywhere, buddy. He hit it and then tried to run at me. So the lowbrow rig doing work again. And that's what they want, that little Crush City little thing. He's a little bit bigger than the last one. He's, I don't know, 1.5 pounds. Got a nice fat belly on him, all tummied up. Again, nice little bass, about 1.5 pounds. There he went. All right. Let's see if we can't get another one. I got to fix up my bait. They've been tearing up this old lowbrow rig, I tell you what. That's going to be one of the ways that I have a lot of success with it. And like I said, this is what I'm using. I'm using 3.25 inch Rage swimmers or 3-inch Crush City the Mayor. Now, it doesn't matter about the color. You know, these are just the colors that I like. I like the white and I like the smoked shad color. But it does not matter. Use the types that work best for you. If you like a Kitech, use a Kitech. If you like Demiki, use Demiki. If you like Bass Assassin, if you like Reaper baits or whatever, use the ones that you like. The main thing is having this rigged up like this and fishing it in a slow, methodical fashion so that whenever you're bringing it through the water column, again, you can tick the tops of the grass with it, or you can get down in the grass and still have a lot of effect and catch a lot of bass. Now, years ago, you guys started calling that the lowbrow rig. So that's kind of what we go with. You know, and there's other ways I can add to that. Like if it's super windy like it is today, you know, you guys have seen me put a little beetle spin blade on there, right? And you can buy these. You don't have to buy the beetle spin itself. You can buy the blades just by themselves. A lot of people, a lot of different companies make them. And again, on a small jig head. A 1/8 ounce jig head is what I prefer. And that gives that subtle thump and subtle flash. You know, I can even go bigger with that. Something like the old Dum Dum rig, right? Which is an underspin that I have put a beetle spin blade on. And that's all I've done. So it's like a compact little school. I came up with this because there's a lot of guys who don't have the ability to fish something like an A-rig. And that's where that came from. Now this, I put a bigger swim bait on. This is where I'm fishing a bigger swim bait. And this is a Guggen Saucy Swimmer. This is a 4.8 inch swim bait. And that's kind of what I like with this. If the bass are a little bit more active, or if maybe I'm chasing a bigger bite, then something like this is what I'm going to be using. And again, I'm slow rolling this. I'm slow rolling it along weed lines, along hard edges where those bass are going to congregate. Largemouth bass love hard edges, and other types of bass species do as well. Spots, smallmouth, they all love hard lines and edges, and they use them a little bit differently. But for a largemouth, you know that anything can be a hard edge. A dock piling can be a hard edge, right? But even a weed line can be a hard edge. And a shade line can be a hard edge. Even a mud line can be a hard edge. Something that divides the water. And swim baits are perfect for those types of situations. They're more subtle than a chatterbait. They're more subtle than a spinnerbait. And whenever those bass are super lethargic, whenever they've gotten very, very cold, that's when a swim bait, nice and slow, crept through the water, again, rigged up on something like a lowbrow jig, right? On a lowbrow rig, can be just the ticket. Now, I fish them mainly on a spinning combo. If I'm going small, really, really small, I want to feel it. I want to be able to have the castability of it, because a lot of times it will tend to be windy out there. So I need to be able to make those casts, and I need to be able to work that bait, especially if I'm fishing more clear water. And that's what this is for. 10-pound braid to an 8-pound co-poly leader. And I'll use a 7-foot medium or medium light rod. Again, just a regular spinning rod. Doesn't really matter. This is just the cheapo lose, but again, work with what's best for you. And using these techniques in the winter time, right? In the fall time, whenever it gets cold, let that bait drop in the water just a little bit and slowly, slowly crank it. I've caught a lot of bass from the bank doing that, and I've caught a lot of bass from the boat doing that. It's just been a consistent bass catching tool for years now. And it's something that the bass generally don't get accustomed to because of how subtle it is. I'm telling you, you think that I'm joking about it. You think that something like this is just a bunch of cockamamie nonsense. It's something that I made up for clicks and views. I'm telling you, try it. Take a small bitsy flip, a small type of jig or whatever, a 1/4 ounce, an 1/8 ounce jig, and take the skirt off of it and thread on a small swim bait and start fishing it in places you would never think to fish a swim bait, and watch what happens. In the fall, you're going to get way more bites than you thought you ever could. So there you have it. When the fishing gets the toughest during the fall, a lot of times the best solution is the most simple and easy solution. These swim bait tricks can really change a day and turn it around from not getting any bites to getting some really nice bites. Try it out. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.